Alright, folks, making another one. Just had Thanksgiving, and I was thankful yesterday to some extent, but now I'm feeling less thankful. I guess that's what this video is about. Yeah, for one, we had a lot of food for Thanksgiving at my house here. There's tons of leftovers, and all this stuff's been left for me and my family to eat. And I was already struggling with my weight. I was already going off the rails. Now it's getting worse. And I see myself kind of slipping into fat man irrelevance here. So that's exactly why, part of why I'm making this video. I already was pretty much irrelevant as a man in his 40s. If you haven't done anything by now, you're sort of in the fade away period of life at this point, You're only around to provide guidance to younger people. I've said this in other videos, people will protest against the idea that you can't do anything worthwhile once you get to be a certain age. A lot of people are in denial about this. They say, oh, it's never too late to start, and, they make a lot of excuses. But the reason why they say these things is because they cannot deal with the fact that life is moving on from them. They've had their time. They may have achieved things they may not have, but their time in the sun is dwindling, If they were ever able to achieve any glory, it's fast fading. And if they were never able to achieve glory, they're angry and bitter and regretful and disappointed. And that's basically what this video is about. As usual, as you know, I'm angry and bitter. And now, I'm seeing there's a lot of calls for people to be sort of, have a kumbaya sort of moment here. Come together with all the division, the election, all this. And now there's people saying, oh, what we really need to do is come together as a people and love each other, and, we need to unify and all this. And this is a message that rings very hollow, considering the circumstances. I'm also seeing this commercial on TV. I'm not going to name the brands so that they don't get the satisfaction of having their name mentioned, but it's this janitor who sings quietly to himself, the Burt Bacharach song. What the world needs now, blah, 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 you know how it goes. And supposedly somebody hears him singing, and so figures out a way to get him up on stage so that he can, express his gorgeous song that he's kept hidden. His aspirations were dead. Now all of a sudden, oh yeah, now we're going to give this guy a chance to be in the limelight, well after the fact. And, it's coming to you from a company that the epitome of the problem with the modern world to some extent. Maybe not the epitome, but, it's coming to you from a greedy, world-dominating capitalist enterprise, this company, who is headed by one of the richest men in the world, So it's this idea that it's the corporate sponsorship of everybody, putting aside their differences, this idea oh yeah, let's all come together under capitalism, and we can all be happy together, and everyone can support everyone. BS. Fucking bullshit. I'm just gonna say it. Bullshit. That's not how this works. You dominate us. We're not gonna be satisfied with our little BS performance on stage, because you are making that janitor, work 2 jobs probably, and you might have been the reason why that janitor didn't get to fulfill his dreams, And you're offering this sort of booby prize performance to this janitor. I know it's totally made up, this whole thing, but it's like the idea that it's like, oh yeah, they use their service. I forget how they use the service, but it's just, it's you can't call for everyone to kiss and make up when you cause the problems, and that's, I think, part of what I'm saying here with this, just like the election, I mean, there's problems in Democrats and Republicans. I'm not going to try to say there isn't problems in both. We all know who the worst of the two evils is. If you don't, then you're just selfish. Either yourself. I think everybody knows who the worst of the two evils are, but one of them supports the worst of the two evils because they're selfish and want to help themselves, and the other side is too easily manipulatable. I'm going to say they have something in them that makes them very fearful and apt to believe con men, and so they don't understand, who has their best interest at heart, and they're being manipulated. That's the other side. Either way, I mean, I guess I'm more willing to be forgiving of the people that are just being manipulated and don't know what's going on, I can forgive them a little bit because they're voting against their own interests and they're lacking in critical thinking skills, and they're just very afraid people. They're either very afraid or they have a mistaken faith in a version of God, and that doesn't really play out in a way that's realistic as far as I'm concerned. It's naive, and they believe a lot of stories they've been told to keep them docile, to keep them from rocking the boat. And in some ways, I mean, I'm not trying to say that the Bible is all those kinds of stories entirely, but the Bible's being used to promote evil. That's it. These people think that they're voting as God would want them to, but they're just being manipulated by people who know how to push their buttons and know how to have people use their faith to make bad decisions that harm people and living things. They don't realize it. They think that they're doing the right thing, but they have no idea. They don't understand. They don't have any depth of knowledge there. They live on a very basic level. They don't understand any kind of, they're easily manipulatable. Anybody who believes in God and religion without unquestioningly, has a lack of critical thinking skills. If you don't have any question in your mind about the legitimacy of Christian religion, I mean, not even the legitimacy, because I'm not trying to say it's not legitimate, but if you take it all on its face, if you don't at least question, what you're told a little bit, then you're naive, and you're willing to put aside your God-given ability to use logic to question. You have to question your faith even, To have 100% faith is not intelligent. And it's weak. You're being weak. You're being fearful. You believe what you want to believe because you don't want to consider the alternative. And the alternative is that, people don't want to believe there's no justice in the world. People don't want to believe that bad things happen to good people. People don't want to believe that, that really good things happen to bad people. People don't want to believe that those who are in control of life on this planet, are selfish and don't have everyone's best interest at heart. People will say a lot of things to comfort themselves, to try to minimize the negatives of reality. I'm not trying to say that all of reality is negative and that everything is terrible, but people tell themselves a lot of fairy tales to try to minimize that negative element, and it's not good for you to do that. You're not doing yourself any favors. You're not doing the universe any favors. You have to be aware of both sides of the issue. kind of reminds me of, I just watched Inside Out 2. Just not that great a movie. I was annoyed with Inside Out 2 because it focuses on some, like, there's just the serious problem you're presenting in the movie is some teenage girl. Her friends are going to a different school. Like that's supposed to be the really traumatic, difficult thing that is making her have anxiety attacks. And you gotta be effing kidding me, you know. Pixar. All these people working for Pixar, they've lived charmed lives, you know. Upwardly mobile. They're not worried about their next paycheck. Um, you know, they got lucky. Things worked out pretty well for them, and their kids are taken care of. And this is to them a big deal. A big problem is some you know, I don't know, teenage girl. Her big issue in life is that her friends are going to a different school than she is, and that she's got to try to make the hockey team. I mean, you got to be kidding me. You know, I don't relate to this at all. My problems were way the hell more intense than anything this girl had to go through. And if Pixar had any cojones, or if they weren't just making feel-good movies to sort of, you know, sort of make the world into this cutesy little fantasy world where, just like Disney, you know, where the problems are all small and everything works out in the end, you know. It's just fairy tales people are telling themselves, you know. You know, in the end they accept that, you know, that this little girl is, you know, has a lot of elements, but the important thing is, you know, to love yourself and for everyone to love everyone, and it's all this kind of feel-good talk. Yeah, that would be a lot harder. And try and make that movie about somebody who was born with a, you know, with a debilitating disease, or born intersex, or, you know, who was born to abusive parents. You don't see Pixar making the hard-hitting movies like this. You know, they're going to keep everything light. They don't want to delve into those serious territories because they live in this you know, yuppie fantasy world where everything can work out just fine if we all love each other. You know, but that's bullshit. You know. And some of us have no interest in singing Kumbaya and cozying up to people and saying, let's forgive everybody, let's love everybody, let's all have a great old time. No. Some of us are aware of how we're being manipulated, of how we're being controlled. And, you know, there is some thought that maybe everyone is suffering in the system. Maybe that's true to some extent, but, you know, there are some people that, if they are suffering, they don't know they're suffering, and they're actively trying to, you know, keep the status quo, not change things, not really look for a way for us to be truly loving one another, truly acting in a way that was empathetic, you know, truly supporting one another, truly trying to figure out why some people don't want to sing Kumbaya, why some people don't want to let bygones be bygones. And, you know, there's a real justified reason for feeling bitter, angry, resentful at the way things have been, the way things play out on this planet. And feeling resentful for seeing others who, you know, who get all the things that we want and don't deserve them, you know, don't have the moral fiber, the character, the empathy. You know, even people don't have talent. They're just products of luck, or, you know, lucky circumstance, or wealth. They get everything they want and don't deserve it. You know, I don't want to live in a world where I can be happy and accepting of people who get things that didn't deserve them, while other people who are deserving get nothing. I'm not, you know, I mean, I'm talking about myself to some extent here, but it's not just me. You know, I don't want to live in a world where bad people get to experience good things and good people get to experience bad things. And, you know, you want to believe that that somehow things get, evened out in the end. Somehow, that karma is a real thing. People pay the price of their sins, and it's not even so much that, even it's even just that that some people get opportunities and other people don't. Some people get to live their dreams and they don't. Others don't. It's not that they're bad people sometimes. Sometimes good people get to live their dreams too, but it's like, why should one good person get to live their dream and not another person, It's just unjustified. Who succeeds is the flip of a coin, That's a lot of times it's the flip of a coin. A lot of times it has to do with who raised you or what your genetics were, or, where you were born, or how much money your family had. And it shouldn't be so random. I could conceive of a much more of a universe where the rule of law was based on justice, not based on who had the most accumulated wealth and power. That's the universe I want to see. I don't mind if my dreams don't come true, as long as the people whose dreams do come true were deserving. I know there's people more deserving of their dreams coming true than me. I know there's people who are more deserving of status and having a chance to fulfill their biological wants and needs. There are people who are more deserving than me, who deserve to find true love more than I do. But those aren't always the people that are better than me. Those people should be better than me ethically, and they're not. And I will never be able to forgive the universe or these people who are successful just for being lucky. It's not effing fair. And I don't want to see everyone come together. I don't want to see everyone loving each other. And I don't want to give God a free pass for screwing me over. I get one life, This is it. And you can say all you want, I'm watching, there's a lot of these near-death people that say that, oh yeah, well, it's so annoying because these near-death people are saying, oh, there's no such thing as good and bad, You just make choices. A lot of people believe this now, a lot of spiritual people, oh, there's no such thing as good as bad, You just make choices and, we're all here to help each other and love each other and, all this kind of crap. I mean, so what does that mean? That means that my suffering in this life was to learn something, and I'm never going to get to experience things that I wanted to experience because that's just what the universe wanted for me. That's just what God wanted, that I didn't get to experience what I wanted to experience, and other people did, and there's no rhyme or reason to it, and it's all okay, and we just have to be cool with that and just think everyone's loved. No, Why didn't I get to experience the things I wanted to experience, I love music more than a lot of people. And I don't have any natural talent for music, If I had any kind of natural talent for music, then I would put a lot more work into being a better musician, because it would be easier for me to learn, I'd be more into it, But I wasn't given any natural talent, So what kind of a tease is it in life to be given a love of music that's deeper than most people, but not to be given the talent to express it, Why would that happen to me? Why, I wasn't given parents that were great musically either, Why not? Why weren't I given parents that were great that could have shown me everything I needed to know, I've got a cousin and uncle who play music, and they're not dedicated to their craft, and they're not good enough to take me anywhere, I jam with them, and, it's kind of a nice thing to do, but they're not professionals. They're not going to help me become a professional, They're pretty good, like I'm pretty good, but they can't take me to the next level, Other people are born to parents who know how to take their kids to the next level. It's like having a teacher living, that's so many people that are successful in music have like a close relative that's also great at music. And when you're living with a person like that, you have all the opportunity in the world to be good. Anytime you have a question about music, your parents will be like, oh, let me show you this, let me tell you that. It's like having the value of that for a aspiring musician can't be overstated. The value of having someone who can show you everything that you need to know at all times, and that you like, and that it's no wonder why Mozart was as great as he was. His father was one of the most respected musicians and music teachers in all of Europe, or at least in Austria anyway. Why did Mozart deserve that? Mozart didn't have a great fate, but at the very least, he got to know what it felt like to be one of the true greats. I'd love to know what it would feel like to be one of the true greats. Even if I died in my 30s, I would have loved to have been one of the true greats of music. But I was not put into a favorable position with Mozart. I wasn't given the talent that Mozart was. And it wouldn't be a big deal if I wasn't such a huge fan of music. But it's this tease of being given this, deep love of music and then no way to express it. No help to get me there, to get me to a level like Mozart's. Why is that God's plan for me? God's plan for me sucks. I don't like it. It's not what I wanted. I wanted to be with, I was watching Beetlejuice and The Princess Bride, and seeing, Robin Wright when she was 21. She did The Princess Bride. And then seeing, Winona Ryder was a little young in the movie, but, she was still pretty in the movie. When I was a little kid, I had a thing for her in Beetlejuice. It's a little less appropriate now. I'm not like, over the moon. She was a little young. But, I'd seen I was looking up some stuff about Beetlejuice and saw, like, some videos posted of an older Winona Ryder, and she, not older, but like, in that prime age, 20 something. And it's like, I don't know, seeing Robin Wright, seeing even Winona Ryder, and, I used to think Winona Ryder was hot. And, thinking back to the girls that I liked and that I worked with, I never got to be with a girl like that. I never had an opportunity. Why didn't I get that opportunity? Pro athletes get that opportunity every effing day. Even amateur athletes get that opportunity every day. You're on the high school football team. There's plenty of beautiful 20-year-old girls you can sleep with. Maybe maybe they're more trouble than they're worth, but at least that's an option. You have that option. I didn't have that option. People respect you. You get to know what it feels like to be. Some people get to know what it feels like to be respected. I've never been respected in life. Some people get to know what it feels like to be talented and to know you have power in that. You can choose where to put your talents. People are clamoring for your talents one way or the other. And some people have talents and they know, and they put it to work at a job if they're lucky enough to have talents that are well applicable to a job. And, it's kind of like work isn't a struggle for them, They can feel good about knowing that they can do a job that other people can't do, and do it well, do it better than most. I don't know what that feels like, And I don't know what the respect that comes with that kind of thing feels like. I don't know what the respect of, being, a big shot. I think on some level, I don't know about women, but most guys, as I said in another video, we always want to feel what it's like to just be in control, to be on top, even for a moment. And obviously, we'd all like to be on top forever. But we know, I think everyone knows, because of mortality, that you're only going to have a small time to be on top. And your time to be on top is from, about 18 to maybe even, well, actually, depending on if you're popular in school, it could even be from as early as like 15. About 15 years old to, maybe up to early 40s, well, maybe 40. You have a chance to see what it feels like to be on top. And, You get to feel kind of like, really, we all aspire, as men, we aspire to feel like a god for any period of time. We know it's not going to last because we're mortal, and you only have so long to be in your prime. But if you're lucky, you get a chance to feel like a god. And a lot of guys do. Most of them are not good people. The ones that get to feel like a god, most people who are really successful, who have that kind of power, that kind of status, and those kind of options, they take it by force. They get theirs before you get yours. They by hook or by crook, they will succeed, and most of the time they have to cheat to get there in some way or another. A lot of times there's cheating involved because everyone wants that, especially every guy. They want to feel like they're on top of the mountain. For at least a moment, they want to feel like invincible. We all know we're not invincible. We want to feel like it for a moment. We want to feel like we have it all together. We want to feel like everybody wants to be who we are. And there are guys who get to achieve that for a short period of time. Maybe 10 years, if you're lucky, 20 years. But they're not good people more often than not. And most of the time they get there by, Machiavellian scheming. Everyone wants to be, every guy wants to be in that position. A lot of women do too. And to get there, there's so much competition, there's so much need for that feeling of superiority, for that feeling of godlike achievement, on this planet. There's so many people clamoring for that feeling that in order to succeed, you have to play dirty, I think. I don't think there's very few people that get there organically. I think, because your need has to be so great that you'll do anything to get there, Stab any back, cut any corner, be heedless of the consequences, hurt people. And people are obsessed with it these days. You see it on a lot of the shows people watch these days. It's probably worse than ever now. So many shows that people love to watch are like these gangster films, or like these, the Boys. Another one, all about or Succession. So many of these movies these days are about the cutthroat cunning it takes to get ahead. People are obsessed with this now. And Trump is an embodiment of that. The guy who says, I'm going to get mine before you get yours. Doesn't matter. It's all about, might makes right. Take the power before it's taken from you. People love this shit now. They're obsessed with it. People are, watch a lot of these shows about this idea because they want to fantasize about being that ruthless person that doesn't give a shit, doesn't let anyone get in their way. Damn the consequences. I get to be God for a day. And it's vile. It's a vile way of thinking, and it's kind of baked into who we are, at least as men, to some extent. Some women too. Although with women it's more about wanting to be with that guy, scheming to be with the guy that thinks he's a god. That's what women want. They're attracted to that godlike guy who won't let anyone get in his way. And that's pretty sick, It's bad. People have a sick mindset about these things. But because they think that way, and because they're so, because they're so morally bankrupt in order to achieve that godhood status, God among men. I'm not going to forgive them. I'm not going to love them. I'm not going to pretend like I think what they're doing is somehow forgivable, or that, they're deserving of love, or that we should all come together and be like, it's okay, we forgive each other for all our misdeeds. No. I don't forgive these fucking people. I don't forgive the people that made my life a living hell, that didn't allow me to get what I wanted in life, that are controlling me to this day, that, call me a loser, look down on me, made my life a living hell in school, that would kill me to get what I have if I had anything that was worth taking. You know, I mostly ignore it because I don't have things that are worth taking. But then again, you even have some people who are scum that's trying to scam my my parents out of the little money we have. You know, there's always people trying to scam you, take what you have. I can't forgive and forget for these people. You know, I don't want to join in this supposed world of love these after-death, near-death experience people are talking about. You know, I don't know if that's me rejecting. You know, if that's just me rejecting the earthly ways, or the flawed people of Earth, or maybe some people say that there's God in all of us, and so maybe in some way I'm rejecting God, by rejecting all that is, rejecting the reality that we have. In some way I'm just saying, that this isn't good enough, that I'm not willing to accept that my fate was to be, I almost feel like essentially I've been cuckolded by fate, It's not entirely, but that's the feeling, Feeling like I've had to accept less, that I've had to sacrifice for the grand plan, Screw that, I got one life to live. I'm supposed to be satisfied with having to make sacrifices for other people because, that's the way it was meant to be. It was meant to be that I was never going to be respected. It was meant to be that I never got to, be with a young, attractive woman. It was meant to be that I was ridiculed and made to feel small for something that I had nothing to do with. I can't accept that. I'm not cool with that. I don't want to fall on the sword. This is my one life. It's defined by, frustration, disappointment. I wouldn't do that for anyone. I don't want to do that for any human being alive, and I don't want to do it for God. So, and I don't want to forgive people and pretend like it's all love and then it's all going to work out in the end, They also tell you you're insignificant, On top of the fact that your life is not what you want it to be, on top of the fact that your life is defined by constant frustration, they also tell you, well, it doesn't matter anyway, You're such a little insignificant nothing that all your concerns are unimportant, That's easy for everyone else to say. That's easy for God to say. But me, this is it. This is all I've got. Even if I were to die and life were to go on in some way, I would never be this combination of factors again. I don't believe I'm the same as everybody else at this moment. For this lifetime, I have a certain, even if I only exist within a certain context, I still exist within that context. I have certain memories. I have certain physical characteristics. I occupy a certain space and time. I think a certain way. In some ways, I'm connected with everything else. There's no doubt about it. Everything's connected. That doesn't mean that I am everything else. I am not, people say I'm this blanket, Maybe this blanket exists because I perceive it. It doesn't mean it's a part of me. I don't know what it feels like to be this blanket. I don't know what it feels like to have bones and paws printed on me. I can imagine looking at it, But I don't know what it feels like to be this plant over here. You're seeing, where is it? You see that plant there? Hanging in a window, getting whatever sun I can. I don't know if that plant's real. I don't know what it's like to be you. I don't know what it's like to be the president. I don't know what it's like to be a pro football player. I don't know what it's like to be a successful musician. I don't get to experience that. And when I die, maybe some small part of my, if there is anything that goes on, and I'm becoming more and more convinced of the eternal oblivion theory because, for various reasons I'm not going to go into, but even if I were to reincarnate as something, I won't really be me. I won't be the same collection of experiences and things that made me me. This character that I'm playing, even if it's just a character, I'm not convinced it's just a character. This is probably all I'm ever going to know. But if this is just a character my consciousness is playing, then I feel for this character. Just like you watch a movie and you see something bad happen to a character, Just watched Alice's Restaurant. Not a very good movie. But you've got this drug-addicted character who dies, That character will, even in a movie, that character is an entity, Maybe he doesn't exist in real life, but if I'm playing the role of a character, just like that character was troubled. He wanted Alice. He couldn't get Alice. Alice was with someone else. Maybe that drove him to drugs. I don't know what else drove him to drugs, but he died in the end. He's not a real character, but that's what we are on this. People always say the world's a stage. We're all the actors or whatever. Everyone's a player. If this is my character, regardless of whether this is me or not, it's an experience that I'm having. It's a certain context, and this experience of me is not happy, not satisfied. And I don't see why I should have to live a life that's unsatisfied when this is all I get. This is all the Tim character gets in life. It's just not fair. So it's, maybe it's selfish. Maybe it's asking too much. I wanted to play a character who was fulfilled, not a character who was constantly feeling like the best of life was out of his reach. So, yeah. Forget all this nonsense about coming together. Forget all this nonsense about live and let live, water under the bridge. No. I'm bitter. I'm unhappy. I wanted to be happy. I tried. I've been trying. Trying to do what I need to do to end that longing and that feeling of bitterness. But it's not getting any better. It's only going to get worse as time goes on. And I don't want to see everything get better. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to see everyone die in flame either, and that's where we're headed, But I sure as hell don't want to live and let live and be try to be hunky-dory with these people who are trying to convince me that what the world needs now is love. Well, if the world needs love, you ain't getting it from me. I'm just trying to keep everyone alive. In fact, I'm really more acting in my own interest. I don't want to die. At least some part of me does, but I don't want to die with the idea that I was part of the human disaster of climate change and over extraction of the world's resources. I don't want to believe I was part of the problem. That's what it's looking like. And I can't forgive. Maybe I'll end up going to my own personal hell after I die, because I'll have an awfully hard time forgiving other people and God for making this world so unjust and disappointing. And yeah, so all this calls for unity and forgiveness. Go F yourselves, It's too late for me to get what I want. I'm never going to be happy about that.